Good morning to Braunfels in the 35 corridor. I'm D. Lee Edwards here, the host of the Real Deal Real Estate Show, and today's special guest is Wes Miller. He's a sales manager for D. Lee Edwards Realty and Edwards Commercial Real Estate. We're going to be discussing the market in the region, that's Hays, Comal, and Guadalupe County, along with some specifics on the Braunfels. How is the market shaping, possible trends over the next several months, and more. But first, it's time for the Braunfels Title Market Report. Well, today we're going to analyze our region to see how it's moving and shaking. However, let's start with a little mortgage news. The bond market retreated this week, and wow, we got a solid drop in interest rates by almost 40 basis points. 30-year fixed conventional dropped to 7.51, while 15-year was at 7.05. FHA at 6.85, and the VA was at 6.88. That's great news for home buyers. The bond market did slide down, except 91-day rate stayed the same at 5.32. The 2-year fell to 4.851, and the 10-year dove to 4.55. Now, what else continued to decline? Well, West Texas Intermediate has dropped to $81.75 a barrel. That's down almost $8 since a month ago. And what's it going to look like next week? Well, several of the oil analysts said expect it to head back up and may not come back down. The stock market got all fuzzy with the Fed not hitting interest rates and the bond market pullback. The Dow rose 1,400 points to 34,100, while the S&P lifted itself to 4364, and the Nasdaq jumped to 13,466. It was a good week for stocks and a good week for interest rates. All in all, nobody can complain. Now to our top story. What's happening in our market? You know, you hear all the national news about real estate. It's up, it's down, it's sideways. And then everybody here thinks that's what's really going on. Well, we're really going to talk about the inventory in the market here and what the real trends are. Inventory in the region shows we have 4,600 homes on the market in the Tri-County area. That's Hays, Comal, and Guadalupe, which is a strong number. We just don't have the numbers under 200. Now, Braunfels has 5 homes available under 200,000, while Guadalupe County has 21, Hays has none, and Comal 28. Then, from 200 to 300,000, Comal has 121, Hays 112, Guadalupe 373. Good inventory for 2 to 300, and the Braunfels 70. 300 to 400,000, 361 available in Comal, 467 in Hays, 434 homes available from 300 to 400 in Guadalupe, and New Braunfels has 195 of them. Now, from 400 to 500,000, Comal has 321 homes available, Hays has 284, Guadalupe 153, while New Braunfels 101. 500,000 and over? Well, Comal now is king with 638, while Hays has 680, Guadalupe 153, and New Braunfels 214. That's a surprising number that Comal actually exceeded Hays and higher priced homes. Now, we have a strong inventory, which in turn is affecting days on market and months of inventory. Average days on market in Comal is 91 days. Hays is only 67, Guadalupe County is 85, and New Braunfels is now pushing almost 100 days at 98. Months of inventory, which takes us, well, what's the market doing as far as is it a buyer's market, is it a seller's market? Comal has 6.54 months of inventory. Friends, that's a true buyer's market. Whereas Hays is neutral at 5.16 months, Guadalupe is at 5.71, and New Braunfels is a little better off at 5.18. Now, how are we doing on price sold to list? Well, Comel is at 93% of the listing price. That's the actual adjusted listing price for sale, and it's negotiating down about, 7% overall. But if you compare it to last year's numbers and the prices, it's really about a 12 to 14% pullback. Hayes is down to 96%, Guadalupe's at 98, and the good news is New Braunfels is only at 98.4. So with the 4 or 5% that it was over the line, New Braunfels is really skating by with about 7 to 8% of real drop. Not bad if you're a seller, but the real tell to the tail is the median and average sale price this year. Comel last year had an average sale price of $549,522. This year, it's only $535,166. Now, that's only down 2.6% because of such big numbers. Hayes is $468,478 last year, but it's down a whopping almost $84,000 to $382,568. That's an 18.4% drop. Hayes has been terribly affected by that. And the bulk of that is probably negotiations on the upper level houses. And at the same time, they have a large supply of mid-price. Now, Hayes superheated first, too. So when you superheat, you super cool. Now, what do we look like in the Braunfels? Well, average price at $485,846 last year. This year, and last year it was $507,178. So New Braunfels is down about 4.3. Not bad. When you factor in the surge, we're down about 7 to 8%. Guadalupe County, 361,983 last year and 353,403 this year. That's only an $8,000 drop, so it tells you that mid-market is fairly stable. Now, median price, the statistical middle, if you don't understand median, median price for Comel was $477,233. A year ago, $455. This year, $450. Let's go back. Comel last year was $477. This year, $455. That's a $22,000 drop. Hayes, $395 last year, $345,900 this year. Guadalupe, $339,999 this year, $326. And New Braunfels saw last year at $415, and we're only down a smidgen to $414,990. So New Braunfels has been the real winner if you're looking at median. Now, today we're going to be skipping the geopolitical news that's this week to focus on regional area. We're going to talk about what's going on and what all those numbers just meant. But before we get to that with Wes Miller to discuss those things, we're going to take a brief break as we're going to listen to our sponsors. This is the Real Deal Real Estate Show on KGNB 1420 AM and 103. And we're back on the Real Deal Real Estate Show with our special guest today, Wes Miller, sales manager for D. Edwards Realty. Good morning, Wes.
Good morning, Lee. Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
Great. As a reminder to our listeners, this portion of the show is brought to you by Bubba's Smoked Meats and Fancy Sauces. And, of course, Bubba's Backyard. Wes, let's start in by asking you, after looking at the numbers, do you think the pullback of pricing is over?
No, I don't think it's over, but I do think we're getting close. We're seeing this pullback is really a reaction to the 2022 overheating that we had. Lower prices, honestly, just resetting from where we are there. So I do feel like we're getting close, but I do think we have a little bit more to go.
Yeah, and there's really no equity loss. What we're looking at is really this market is normalization as far as maybe we're a little heavy to inventory, but the price adjustments really haven't eroded the profit. There was a false profit, right, with the surge.
Yeah, as long as you didn't buy your house in June of 2022, you've probably got some equity in there. But if you bought right there at the peak of the overheating, you might need to wait it out a little while. But other than that, we've seen.
Yeah, kind of the history is that when things go down, they go back up, and they go up past where they were before. All right. So now, what about the fact that days on market has risen and the inventory has, put us in a neutral to buyer's market?
Again, it's been years since we've seen this kind of a balanced market, but it's teetering between buyer and seller. We're really about neutral right now. But again, it's the interest rates are hurting that a little bit, days on market, but we're really we're resetting from kind of a false spike in late 21 and most of 22.
Yeah, it's making some people really scared. Oh my God, the interest rates are high and the prices, but yet the price is adjusted a little bit to kind of offset some of that, except for maybe in the city and the Braunfels, but on some of the higher price houses, it's adjusting. Now, what does this mean to sellers with us going into a neutral market?
Well, it seems like no matter the situation, it always comes down to pricing your house right. But it's more important now than ever. If you're not going to price your house right, you're going to expect to sit on the market. Buyers are picky right now. They're picky on price, and they have the ability to do that because there's a lot of inventory out there. So price it right or be prepared to sit for a little while. And from a seller's perspective, the days of 20 or 30,000 over asking are over. You're going to have to be ready to negotiate and justify your price.
And then they should be expecting longer times on market, right? Even if they're priced right, they could get out to 30, 60, 90 days. Right?
Yeah, I think we were looking today. We're Comal County's close to 6 months on the market, inventory on the market right now. So you're going to spend some time on the market. We're gone from the days of 3 days on the market and 15 offers.
Now, don't be shocked if buyers ask for help. Is that about right, would you say?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. Some incentives you can put in from a seller's perspective or helping that buyer buy their rate down. We're seeing a 2-1 buy down. It's super popular right now. But yeah, incentives are big right now.
Yeah, therefore, we had about 3 or 4 years where we didn't ask for seller closing costs, and we didn't ask for maybe help with the interest rate. We didn't ask for some of these things. But when the interest rate went up, and everybody was used to 3% money, except for those of us with gray hair that, had 18%. Now it's becoming common for people to say, well, I might give you this price, but I need $3,000 in closing cost or $5,000 in closing cost. Are you seeing that?
For sure. And again, that's more normal. What's not normal was 21 and 22. This is a more normal market, negotiating incentives, all the way to allowing, not having an appraisal waiver and allowing an inspection and all the normal things we've always done. What people forget, the last 10 years, the interest rates have gone so far down. 7.5 is a pretty normal average interest rate. So we're coming back to a normal market.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break right now. We're talking with Wes Miller, sales manager of D. Edwards Realty, and you're listening to the Real Deal Real Estate Show on KGMB 1420 AM and 103.1 FM. And we're back on the Real Deal Real Estate Show, and today's special guest is Wes Miller, sales manager for D. Edwards Realty. We're talking about the regional market and things going on. Now, this portion of the show is brought to you by Meyer Heating and Air Conditioning, keeping you comfortable all year long. Wes, were there any surprises in the market data?
There was some interesting info in there. To me, it wasn't a surprise, but I think to some it's going to be the Comal County average sales price being so far above Hayes is a shocker for some. But I think this is indicative of the new Braunfels area kind of becoming the luxury area of the I-35 corridor, which we've seen that trend happening over the last few years, and I expect that to accelerate.
And a lot of that is happening in Comal County in particular with Vintage Oaks and River Chase and
Right, west of town, out up to the lake. And when I say New Braunfels, out of the city limits, ETJ area. But yeah, that's where the luxury stuff is going.
And do you see that trend and likely continuing? I think you were at a conference recently, and there was something said about that.
Yeah, we were talking about the luxury market and that it was kind of a false stat. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but we've lagged behind proportionally to Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, our pro rata share of luxury homes. And the numbers show, looking at the last 10 years, that each year we're catching up. So I think we're probably going to step on the gas on that, and the area will continue to be the luxury area of the corridor.
Well, and as the chamber develops and tries to develop more office space, and we get more doctors, physicians, lawyers, dentists, and then specialty administration for some of these big corporations, the bigger, Dellionaire homes start to come with that.
Right. Yeah. Going to work's got to be we've always been kind of a bedroom community, and I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth, so I grew up in a metroplex, and that's kind of what we're becoming. It's for good or bad, Austin to San Antonio is going to be one metroplex here in not too far future.
Well, and then there was a recent study that shows that Texaplex, they're trying to come up with a new name for it, but basically it's San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston makes this triangle. 80% of the population is going to be living here by 2030. That's just around the corner, and it's going to continue. Now, Texas is trying to develop what they call the La Entrada Pacifica route, which is running out of Del Rio. Out of Cunha and Laredo. No, wait a second. It's from Ciudad Acuña, from Acuña to San Angelo to Lubbock to Amarillo to Wichita Falls and up that way. So there's going to be some development that starts to put, and there's been a lot of press in the last year that Midland's a hot place for the youth to live because they're making good money in the oil field and they're adding cool things to do out that way. So Midland's kind of getting hip. So we're going to have a lot going on in Texas in two corridors. Now, is it a good time to buy?
I think it's a great time to buy, and I've told you the other day. Dave Ramsey has been talking about his thing. He's saying now is today's the best time to buy real estate for the next 5 years. It might be a little better a few months down the road. I think prices are going to adjust down a little bit, but I think he's pretty close to spot on there. There's a huge pent up demand. Folks that are just waiting on the sideline that don't want to come out of a 3% mortgage to be at 7.5%. And we've got some generation type stuff coming along. We've got more buyers than ever. So, once these interest rates don't have to go back to 3 to kick this thing off.
Well,
they get back down into 6, upper 5s, and we're absolutely going to see a buyer frenzy again. So, if you're trying to buy at the bottom of the market, look, it's impossible to hit right on the bullseye, but now's as good a time as any. You're going to be on the lower end of the market, and this, 5, 10, 15% correction we've seen is going to get eaten right up.
So here's really the crux to that, is that from now for about the next 4 to 5 months, we're going to be hovering either in that still going down slightly or starting to come up slightly. So this is the trough for when to start your buying trend. Because when we come out at it, if interest rates pull back a full point and they get at 6.5, the buying frenzy will start again.
That's absolutely right. And it's always a good time to buy real estate. This is a great time to buy real estate. Next 6 months or so, you're almost guaranteeing yourself to be at or around the bottom of the market.
Yeah, and the thing to remember, folks, when you get a dip like this, you come back out of it and you pass the highest price that was here a couple of years ago. So if we were like, whoa, this was really crazy, a house was $650, now you can buy it for $6. 3 years from now, that house is liable to be $660 and then start to keep climbing. So again, it is a good time. Now, in 24 to 30 months, rates could be in the high 5s to lower 6s. Does that give people an opportunity to maybe refinance or something like that, Wes?
Yeah, kind of the golden rule for us is 1.5, 2 point reduction is worth a refi. So again, I'm always trying to invest in the price of the house. That's permanent. You can never go back and recover what you paid for the house, but you can go back and get and recover and gain ground by refinancing. So we don't have a crystal ball, but a year or two down the road, most of the geniuses out there that know the best are saying, hey, 5.5, upper 5s. So that's going to be a great, you're in there at 7.5 right now. It's going to be a good chance to lower your payment.
Yeah. All right. Best advice for buyers right now, since you're saying it's the time to buy.
Yeah, and this never changes. Number one is always get pre-qualified. Talk to a lender. If you don't know one, reach out to us. We're happy to give you a few to talk to. Get pre-qualified. Know what your buying power is. If you haven't talked to a lender in a year or so, you don't know what your buying power is. It's important to know what it is at the current prices and the current rates. The second thing we'd say is get a professional real estate agent. We've got a full team of them. Today, I'd like to shout out to Francine Larrabee and Miss Mary Jane Wendell, a couple of our pros. Give them a call. They'd be happy to help you with the research. It's just so important to have a professional that knows the ins and outs of the markets, where the rates are going, all that stuff. And then 3, have a good plan. Know what you want to buy, and then let your agent help you find that.
All right. So, kind of a recap. House prices went up in 2022. They've adjusted in 2023. Interest rates up, but we may be getting to, very close to the bottom of the curve. And it's a good time to start looking to buy, even though interest rates are still up. But today you are a half point better than you were a week ago, so you might be able to pick it. In 2 years, you'll be able to refinance. Now, at the same time, if you're buying now, the option is 2025 and 2026 are being looked at as one of those years is going to be the best year in real estate history. So getting your property now and getting into the market is a good time to get it if you're a buyer. Now, one last thing, Wes, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, please reach out. We're at DeeLeeEdwardsRealty.com, or you can reach me anytime on my direct line, 830-387-6013. And if I may jump in here with one more thing, a little bird told me, Lee, that you have filed your campaign treasurer docs to start a campaign to become City Council District number 3. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's true. I have put a campaign team together. We'll be running for Council District 3, full-blown campaign, and so we look forward to bring the experience that I've had for years, and 12 years on planning and zoning, and 6 years serving in the Braunfels Independent School District as a school board trustee, and bringing that background to the council as Harry Bowers has decided not to run for a third term. And he was a good councilman, did well. I just hope to live up to his standard or better.
Well, that's great news. Great news for New Braunfels. The time that I've known you and worked for you, you've always been an outstanding problem solver, and that's what we need in there right now, is somebody to solve problems.
Well, thank you. Now, folks, next week we're going to have some helpful hints about preparing for winter. We're going to have Bubba Meyer with Meyer Heating and Air Conditioning. He's going to talk about winterizing, putting some things together, changes in some of the equipment to make it more efficient, talk about insulation a little bit. And then, of course, we're going to have real estate financial news, and we'll be back to talking about some of the national things that affect us here locally. For the Real Deal Real Estate Show, please join us next Saturday at 10 a.m. on KGNB 1420 a.m. and 103.1 FM, where we give you all the current real estate news. Until next Saturday, New Braunfels, have good investing and have a great weekend at Wurstfest. Oh, and I'll be at the potato pancake booth from 2 to 6. Come by and say hello.